So one of the perennial categories that we have here, of course, is the business model description. And I thought this, visual of our little dog friend here was quite fun because this is how it often feels when you're trying to, make one of these things, right? For the annual report, there's a lot of plates to balance. So clear opportunities. The business model descriptions are offering a really clear explanation of what you do, right? Less is more. Conciseness is really important, and just avoiding the jargon and that these things kind of tend to attract is really important. Explaining how you make money, which sounds very basic, but is a remarkable number, to be honest, of the FTSE 100's business model descriptions do not really, they might kind of gesture at it, but they don't really nail it. Demystifying complexity and taking on misconceptions. So sometimes even analysts who followed you for years, or people very familiar with the business, or people who work for you, will have some terrifying misapprehension about, or misconception rather, about what you actually do and how you do it and all the rest of it. So really important to kind of take that on with the business model description. And then the last one here is identifying credible differentiators. So just as we've got opportunities, we've got pitfalls. I think overemphasizing the graphics is a big one to avoid if you possibly can, right? These things, people like them to be graphical. I think maybe it's something to do with the use of the word model, which is absolutely fine, and everything else. But ultimately, the best ones are the ones with high quality narrative, with graphics as a kind of supporting feature rather than the other way around. We don't like to see combined business model and strategy because they are, really two quite different things. Limiting space, as with marketplace, business model tends to be one of these things that people feel they have to squeeze onto one page, 2 pages, and that is just not the case, right? And the best ones don't tend to do that. And one of the things that I see a lot, I would say a little bit too much, is this focus on stakeholder outcomes. I'm not entirely certain where this has come from as sort of an absolutely core part of the business model description, but having looked at so many of these in the FTSE 100, I would say a clear majority kind of spend a lot of time on stakeholder outcomes and not a great deal else. And you just think, well, this is, I would put that as like number 7 or 8, right, in the list of things that are important. So yeah, stakeholder outcomes, great, if you've done all the other things that you should do to make it good, but otherwise, leave it out. So as we were reading through, we collected lots of statistics, as you might expect. The average length of the business model description is 2 pages, which I really don't think is enough. 80% of them reference revenue or cash generation. Like I said earlier, though, a lot of reporters kind of gesture at it. They might include a sentence or two. Whether that's really fully explained, I would say very rarely is that the case. And then capital allocation, which of course is sort of the next step on if you talk about, well, this is how you make money, and then you perhaps might talk about this is how you spend it. So about 57% do that. So our first top dog on business model description is Experian, and they do a really nice job in terms of, so they do something that I think is sort of relevant to a lot of larger companies, FTSE 250, FTSE 100, in that they do multiple things, right? It's quite rare to have a big business in the UK that's listed and you only do one thing or even 2 things, right? So Experian have these graphics that sort of explain the overarching kind of approach they take to their business. But then they have these sections after that where they talk about the different segments and even the different businesses within those segments and how they kind of function. And I think this is what a lot of reporters kind of resist for some reason. I think they kind of go a little bit too quickly towards simplification when actually it doesn't take all that much space or effort to kind of do a really good job on explaining the complexity, right? I think that's what I would always suggest, is that folks kind of take on complexity head on rather than, kind of almost zooming past it because, oh no, this is too complicated or makes us appear too complicated, right? So you can see here, this is a zoom in on part of their spread. You can see that they talk about what we do, key clients, key data sets, revenue model, market position, and then kind of key competitors for each kind of bit of the business. And this isn't fantastically detailed by any means, and there is more detail to be found elsewhere. But the fact that they do it is very unusual, but I think something we would like to see become a lot more common. Next, top dog is IHG. I have to say this is a bit of a perennial favorite for us because it is almost inarguably the strongest one in the FTSE 100, and that's because they really do focus on the how we make money question, right? So you can see they've got a bit of what we do stuff at the beginning here, which is great because it's sort of numbers focused and quite objective and straight. Then they get right into, well, here's how we generate revenue. And they sort of give you such a good step through of where the money comes from and all the kind of different stakeholders and people involved and things like that. And then they explain, well, how does that kind of turn into, how does revenue turn into profit? How do we allocate capital? How do we spend it? Capital expenditure, and then a little bit on their dividend policy and shareholder returns. It's really good, and they've added in recent years a little bit more on kind of ancillary fee streams, which kind of come on top of their basic business model, and a little bit about their differentiators in the eyes of their customers here on the right. And I think I would make a similar point as I made with Experian on the ancillary fee streams in terms of this is complexity, right? Because it's a little bit of it's other activities kind of on top of their base business model, but they're embracing it. They're not hiding it. They're not saying, well, oh yeah, we also do this, or not even mentioning it. They're actually going for it. So I think that's really commendable.